Are you a current or future physician assistant wanting to learn more about finances? Then join me on this journey to become a PA the FI way. Hi, my name is Kat, and I'm a practicing certified physician assistant who will be your host. It took me 5 years after I started practicing medicine as a PA to thoroughly dive into my personal finances after I discovered the concept of financial independence. I want to use what I have learned to help you avoid some of the financial mistakes that I have made while sharing some of the financial wins that I have had along the way. Join me as we discuss financial strategies to guide you to becoming a physician assistant on the way to financial independence. Welcome back to all the current and future PAs out there who are pursuing financial independence, as well as any of the spouses or significant others or other family members of those current or future PAs that they have dragged you along to listen to the podcast as well. Thank you so much for tuning in today. The topic of today's episode is cryptocurrency, which can be a little bit polarizing, but I think that it's such a popular and interesting topic that people are talking about quite a bit that I think that we need to cover it. Before we get into today's episode though, I wanted to mention a couple of things. The first is that if you are a PA student, not a pre-PA, not a new grad, but in PA school, you are actually eligible to apply for the White Coat Investor Medical School Scholarship for the year 2021. Which is currently open for applications through the end of this month, so through the end of August 2021. I know that as PA students, it can be somewhat difficult to find some scholarship opportunities out there. So I was really excited to learn about this scholarship. And I will put the link to the White Coat Investor page that has all the information about the scholarship and how you can apply. And it also has the link to apply at that page. I encourage you certainly if you are interested to read all of the details, but it looks like that there will be 10 winners this year that will split the prize money amongst them equally. It looks like that you would have to write an essay that has between 800 to 1200 words, and you can pick one of two categories, either inspiring stories or financial for the second category. So I highly encourage you to apply because I think it would be pretty cool if there were some PA students that are some of the scholarship recipients. The other brief announcement that I had before we dive in today about cryptocurrency is that the current pause for student loan payment has now been extended through the end of January 2022. So instead of having to resume student loan payments this fall as previously thought, it has been delayed another few more months. So this extension of the student loan pause is only for those that still have federal student loans. This does not apply to any private student loans or anyone who has refinanced their student loans already outside of the government. So if you still have federal student loans, I encourage you to be intentional with your income and with your money during those upcoming several months that you have to be able to try to help set yourself up for success. So what does that look like? Well, if you don't have an emergency fund or have an insufficient emergency fund, I encourage you to try to focus on setting aside money to build that up. Additionally, if you have any high interest debt, whether that's credit cards or any type of other debts, try to put all of that extra money towards paying those off as soon as possible. You could also consider trying to invest more, whether that's through your retirement accounts through work or through an HSA or through a Roth IRA. You could also consider trying to pay off other types of loans that you have outside of your student loans. Perhaps you have a loan on your car, or if you have other types of student loans that you have refinanced, you can focus on putting extra payments towards those. Although treating yourself every once in a while is important, try not to use the extra few months that you have of not having to pay your federal student loans to only go buy frivolous things, but rather use the money intentionally to help set you up for the future. All right, so let's talk about cryptocurrency. So as a reminder, I am not a financial expert, and I am certainly not a cryptocurrency expert either. I am simply a PA that has an interest in personal finance, specifically the topic of financial independence with the option to retire early in the future. And I want to teach current and other future PAs out there so that they are familiar with these topics and can make an informed, educated decision of what to do with their finances when they are earning their PA salary. So cryptocurrency seems to come and go from the news headlines as well as from your social media feed. If you are a part of any financial independence groups on Facebook or follow any accounts on Instagram or just any general financial groups as well, you will see so many people posting about cryptocurrency and how they're doing so awesome and making a ton of money in it. And then a few months later, they're completely silent because cryptocurrency has dropped and it's not doing so well. So I think that it's an important topic to learn about. So cryptocurrencies are virtual or digital currencies, often referred to as tokens. So it's not a physical form of money. Some cryptocurrencies, such as the original one, Bitcoin, are mined. So not all cryptocurrencies are mined, but some of them are. And mining means that people, such as individuals or companies, use high-powered computers to solve complicated math equations to validate a block of transactions. Cryptocurrencies run on decentralized networks that use blockchain technology. And blockchain technology is a form of an online ledger that tracks all transactions of the cryptocurrency spread amongst many computers. So there's not only one computer or hard drive that is managing the cryptocurrency. So what are some pros about cryptocurrency? Many people feel as though cryptocurrency is really safe because it's almost impossible to counterfeit or to double spend. So with physical money, it can be pretty easy to counterfeit that, but not with cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrency is also immune to government interference or manipulation. So some people get worried about the government interfering with different types of money or other types of currencies. But because cryptocurrency is decentralized, government can't really interfere with it. Cryptocurrencies are portable, so unlike other forms of currency such as physical money or even gold, if you have a lot of it, it can be hard to move around. Cryptocurrency is also divisible, meaning that one of the cryptocurrencies, so one Bitcoin, if you're using Bitcoin as an example, can be divided. Whereas if you're thinking about money, you can't really physically divide a $1 bill and just split it in half and call it 50 cents. Cryptocurrency can be resistant to inflation because it's not being interfered with the government or different banks that can sometimes contribute to inflation of physical money. Cryptocurrency is also transparent because, again, with the blockchain technology, that keeps track of every single transaction that has happened. It can also be used to streamline payment processing, which therefore could lower transaction costs. So if it were to be used more in the future at different stores or restaurants, then the processing of the payment can be pretty quick. Additionally, cryptocurrency can transfer funds easily between two parties for goods or services. So one form of utilization that I've heard of for cryptocurrency is that if you have a business and you are paying a contractor from another country, sometimes that can be pretty difficult to pay them and send them money because of different bank regulations, currency exchanges, etc. But if you both are using cryptocurrency, then you can transfer your token to the party overseas, and it can be pretty easy to do that. So let's discuss some cons of cryptocurrencies. So part of some of the appeal to cryptocurrency is that the user can be pretty anonymous. So some of the cons are that sometimes it is used in illegal activities such as money laundering or tax evasion, or potentially even by other bad groups such as terrorists. However, it's not completely true that all cryptocurrencies are completely anonymous, because some people have been arrested based on what they have found looking further into their transactions. A huge con of utilizing cryptocurrency is that it is so volatile. So, as I had mentioned at the beginning of the episode, sometimes you will hear of how certain cryptocurrencies are just going up and up and up in their price, and people are making a killing on them. And then a few weeks to a few months later, you'll find that they have crashed and have lost a fair amount of money. In order for a currency to be considered a good currency, usually it needs to have shown some stability, because with that stability, that's what proves that there is a value there, and that it shows that both the buyer and the seller can agree on a fair price to pay. If a cryptocurrency is really high one day and then really low the next day, how can two people agree on a fair price for something? Now, although that I had previously mentioned how cryptocurrency is usually decentralized, which can help lessen the concern for hacking, hackers have still hacked into cryptocurrency and have taken a fair amount of money. For example, hackers recently took $600 million during a crypto heist, but then it sounds like they returned $260 million of that dollars back to the platform that they had stolen it from. And it is somewhat suspected that the reason why they returned it was that they found that they really couldn't spend it very easily because of concerns about it being traced back to them. Another potential con of cryptocurrency is that it is virtual. So we did mention a pro of it being virtual in that it's very portable. You don't have to physically carry a wad full of cash or a bunch of gold coins or anything like that. But because that cryptocurrency is virtual, it could potentially be lost if a hard drive is lost or destroyed, because there isn't any centralized bank or corporation or government that stores your crypto funds and backs them up. Another criticism of cryptocurrency has been that it can demand a lot of energy and electricity, especially during the mining process, because those take those high-powered computers to complete. Another potential con to consider if you are considered purchasing and investing in cryptocurrency is that the capital gains are taxed. And of course, the US government has started cracking down on different rules about cryptocurrency and taxes as well. Now, you're even asked when you file taxes if you have owned or used cryptocurrency. So I am also not a tax expert, so I do encourage you to thoroughly research information about cryptocurrency and taxes if you plan on investing in cryptocurrency or even utilizing it on a day-to-day basis. So I had mentioned previously how Bitcoin was the original cryptocurrency. Over the past several years, there have been many more cryptocurrencies created. And there are certainly the top several popular ones that you will tend to hear about from people talking about them or in the news or things like that. But currently, over 10,000 types of cryptocurrency exists. So if you are researching cryptocurrency and are interested in getting into it, you have to decide whether you care if a cryptocurrency is energy efficient or not. Do they actually have utility? Do stores or restaurants actually accept that form of cryptocurrency to pay with? And Do they actually try to adhere to anti-laundering or anti-terrorism laws? Is cryptocurrency the way of the future? Possibly, but nobody has a crystal ball, and I would argue it's probably a little too early to tell. I think a better question to consider is there actual value in cryptocurrency versus the technology behind it, the blockchain technology. Many experts think that it's possible that blockchain technology could enhance and benefit many industries out there, including finance and law in the future. So, what's the bottom line? Cryptocurrency is currently very volatile and it still feels a bit speculative. It's something that you certainly could consider investing in, but if you would like to invest in cryptocurrency, I highly encourage you to consider not throwing all of your money in there to invest for your retirement, but rather consider allocating a small percentage of your total portfolio overall. So some people in the financial independence community don't have any interest in cryptocurrency and absolutely refuse to invest in it because they only want to invest in index funds. However, some decide maybe what could it hurt if I have maybe 1% up to 5%, maybe a little bit more of my total portfolio, and see what happens. Now, again, that's a little bit on the spectrum of gambling, so you really have to determine how much money you have that you would be willing to potentially lose in order to invest in cryptocurrency. If you do decide that crypto is something that you'd like to try out and invest in, you would buy it through a wallet, through an online brokerage or exchange platform that sells cryptocurrency, such as Coinbase, eToro, or SoFi Active Investing, etc. There are several of these platforms out there. I hope that you found this information helpful for your process of trying to decide whether or not to purchase and invest in cryptocurrency. As always, I would really appreciate if you were to leave a review of what you enjoyed about the podcast. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy day to tune in, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week.
Thank you for tuning in, and I hope that you decide to continue to join me along this journey of becoming a PA the FI way. Please take a moment to press the subscribe button on the platform that you are listening to this on, but more importantly, consider sharing with another current or future PA that could benefit from the information that we reviewed in this episode. Take care and have a great rest of your day. Until next time.